What's going on, guys? Welcome to TK's Garage 405. So you guys saw the last video there. It was a long video. I kind of told a little of the history of the car and some fighting around with things here, whatever. I had to really spend a lot of time editing it there to get it edited down because I had quite a bit of video for this last one because I did so much stuff to it. Pretty much put the whole engine in it, headers, fuel tank, I don't know what else, lots, MSD box, all that stuff. So I just trimmed it down quite a bit there. But you guys saw now, I got my name changed. I changed pretty much everything on my social media. Just waiting to see back on Facebook. It didn't change for some reason there, but otherwise I changed it on Instagram and all that stuff. So that's where we're at today. So today I'm going to be just starting to kind of figure out the fluids and accessories and all that stuff, putting the radiator in it and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I can get this thing actually fired up and possibly even driving today. So that's what I'm working on. So let's get to it. Okay, so one of the things we weren't sure on here, the radiator hose. So you can see this is a pretty big hose. This is actually off a Jeep Grand Cherokee. So it's a Gates 23035. You can see it does touch the belt, the pulley here. So I'm gonna probably use this one because it pretty much fits perfectly here, you can see. But I'm gonna have to just strap it to like the shroud or something like that just to pull it back a little bit, but I think it'll work okay. And I'm just gonna leave it slipped all the way down and just tighten up a hose clamp, and hopefully that's good enough. The other piece we're gonna have to cut in. So this goes to the steam port here. Kind of got caught in the belt yesterday. That was my bad. But anyways, that basically goes like that, connects to that steam port there. So we're gonna have to split that hose and then hook this up to it. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't know, nothing, not sure exactly where to put that would be the best spot. Probably there, I guess. Go straight out to it. But so that's what I'm working on. Need to top up transmission fluid. Make sure nothing's going wrong there. Drive shaft, fuel pump wiring it. Put some gas in this thing, and then hopefully that's it. And then I don't know, it seemed to idle good and everything. I feel like this carb probably still needs to be cleaned, but I'm not sure. I don't really know anything about that, to be honest. So I'll probably drive it a little bit and see how it seems and then figure it out from there, I guess. So like I said, this wiring is just a mess. There's actually a lot of wires that are for like the small block Chevy stuff, so a lot of those can get probably cut out later, but I don't want to do that until I know for sure that, you know, everything else is kind of not needed for something here. So there's the MSD box. I think there's like timing retard, 2-step, and then the tack. I did realize that this factory tack goes to 7,000, so I might just hook it up for the heck of it here and see what it does. I know it won't be super accurate, but might just be something for now. I do have a new tack for it. I didn't install yet, and I would like to have a manual pressure gauge there for the oil pressure. I actually forgot to check that on the car while it was running last night, so it sounded good though, so I think it's fine. But other than that, yeah, I mean, making some pretty decent progress here. Like I said, we put a couple new coils on it last night there. I mean, all in all, this is still a pretty inexpensive build. Like I said, I don't know exactly what I got into it. Definitely less than 5,000 with the car included and everything like that. I mean, it's funny because I paid $900 for this car running back in the day, and it's probably worth the exact same car in this kind of condition again. It's probably worth the exact same I paid for it that long ago. That would be if it was running. But like I said, I bet you could buy a roller like this for probably like 500 bucks. So anyways, I got to get working here. Got to figure out a whole bunch of little things like this kind of stuff. So let's get to it. Okay, first problem of the morning here. Went to fill up the transmission. I got this just flexible dipstick tube, but it's like the smallest end I've ever seen. Like, I've got a tiny funnel that I'm gonna have to use here. I don't know if you can see how small this thing is, but I don't even know if that's gonna fit in there. Look at that. I mean, that's like almost as small as you could get and it still doesn't fit in there. So that's gonna be fun to fill. Figure something out there. Okay, there is a lot of stupid happening here, but I don't know how else to deal with this. So I found one of the adapters, but of course it won't fit onto this jug and it'll barely take any fluid at a time. So probably gonna take me 20 minutes to put a quart in this thing. I thought maybe I had a small bottle that I could just pour the transmission fluid into and then squeeze it in here, but I do not. And of course, holding a gallon of this that's right full is not that easy, surprisingly. So probably wouldn't be advisable to use one of these Amazon style dipsticks because this is stupid. This is stupid. I don't ever use quarts of oil for anything, so I don't even have any empty ones that I could just fill. This is stupid. Didn't even have a half-empty jug of transmission fluid. I don't know how much to add. It's got a deep pan in this thing, so I don't know if there's any oil in it or some oil. Man, this is dumb. This is a next level of dumb here. So I'll check back here in like an hour when I get this thing full of fluid. Okay, I'll show you guys what I just did here other than make a gigantic mess of transmission fluid. I had to pour it in by hand. Holy cow, that's painful. I actually ended up pouring it into a jug and then you could like let it glug a little bit and it went in easier, but that was ridiculous. I only added a couple quarts. I'm pretty sure it's still low, but I wanted to make sure there's something in it. So there's a T that I cut into here and all it is for the steam port. So I think this is the factory crossover valve for the steam port. You can see this side's nothing and it has the little port up here. It has rears too. Apparently it's not as important unless you have like a, like a really heavily modified engine or whatever. This is basically just a camo only LS, so nothing special. It's just got bolt-ons other than that really. So yeah, so that's what that's all about. And like I said, this is the hose we used out of a Jeep Grand Cherokee, Gates number 23035. So I just slipped it all the way down. I probably should double clamp this, I'm kind of thinking maybe, but yeah, other than that, I think it's gonna be okay. Get the radiator fan in here, I guess, and then we'll keep working. The key to every good car build is using morettes, because if they're good enough for a house, they're good enough for a car. Okay, so I have a couple things to do up in the front here. Nothing too serious though. I got all the fan and everything in there. I wired it up with some morettes there for now. See if that works, whatever. But I do want to have the tach working, make sure the oil pressure gauge is working once I start it again. I don't mind having an electronic, like it's just got the original one I screwed in there, whatever, it worked fine before. So it's not as sensitive to like live pressure probably, but as long as there's something anyways for now. So the next step, I guess, is the fuel pump wiring. So I ended up buying a couple of butt connectors for it there that are a little heavier. I have 8-gauge wire going back there from when I had a stereo yet. So I'm just gonna like cut a hole or drill a hole, I guess. Probably slip it through a piece of like rubber tubing and should be good to go there. So I'm gonna hook that up and then I don't know, probably put some fuel in this thing. I have to figure out what I'm going to do for that. I really should have a relay going to a switch inside the car so I can turn the fuel pump on and off. The fan's on the key right now, which I don't really like that either, but it is what it is, I guess. It's not the end of the world, but I think that fan might have been running backwards before because I hooked it back up, which is the way that I think he had it hooked up, and I'm pretty sure they had the wires backwards. So that might have been his overheating issue there. And it was getting warm the last time I drove it. I just never thought to check it because, I mean, it was the first time I had driven the car in a long time. So why would I have checked that? I mean, he was supposedly driving it a little bit. So hopefully that's enough fan now. There's no real shroud on it. So, I mean, that's not really helping anything either probably. And I hope it's not hot down there. But if we get the fuel pump going here, I put the drive shaft in. I need to put the torque arm back on. One of the bolts here, so like that was a long story, but long story short, the pinion actually lifted so high, you could see that one there. It actually rounded the top off and knocked a hole in the floor of the car, like small, but it's, I mean, well, it's not small, it's the size of a baseball, but, and it wore this out. So there was another one in the trunk, and I tried putting that in, and it got to the end, and it was like, oh, I guess it's kind of rusty, hey? So maybe I just clean it up a little bit and try to put it back in, because when it got to the end, it felt like I was going to break it tightening it up. It was like maybe a 1/4 inch out, so maybe just take the wire brush to that one again and try that, but I don't want to put this one back in because I can't, because I can't get a wrench on it to tighten it, so yeah, try that, and then yeah, then the fuel pump. All right, show you guys where we're at here. So while I was doing testing to see, because I was originally planning on using the speaker wire I had back there for the pump, but the leads off of that pump are like tiny, like they're like probably 20 gauge, so it's like tiny. And there was actually, I had a speaker wire run up here to just power the sub back in the day. So I ended up running one new wire here. It's a 12 gauge wire, and it's just into the fuse box, but I'm gonna add another fuse into it just in case it shorts out or whatever. But I've got the pump all wired up here. Again, all this stuff is just like cheapo Amazon stuff, and it's got a speaker wire still going for the ground because that's what was there, so I just used it. It runs back here somewhere. I tested it to make sure it was ground, so should be good to go, I guess, hopefully. I'm gonna put this fuse in there and then continue on here. Still got a bunch of little things to wrap up. Every time I go to the parts store, I forget something. All right, guys, so you always think you're so close, and then there's still a million little things to do. So like I said, I'm not rushing because I don't want to have some issues here. So I just put a little bit of fuel in it, like 5 gallons. Gonna top off the antifreeze here for now. I still need to, I bought some straps to just screw to the firewall there to keep the transmission lines away from the exhaust. I just went around and kind of tidied up the wiring a little bit, just keeping it away from the exhaust and stuff too. Yeah, make sure the power wire's away because I know that one wants to go into it all the time. Probably double check all the hoses here and whatnot, and I don't know what else here. I'll have to check the fuel pump and set the fuel pressure. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that when it's like if you can do that like dead head. I'm not sure. You guys saw I mounted the fuel pressure regulator in the back there, so hopefully that's not an issue. I didn't want to have to run 2 sets of fuel lines so that I could have a return, so I just mounted it back there instead. Hopefully the fan keeps up now and it doesn't run warm. That would be a win. Otherwise I might have to buy a pusher fan. Then obviously the whole front end still has to go back on and install the door seals, and I mean this thing's still a long ways away from being ready to go, but if I could at least get it actually to the point of driving. I need to hook up the transmission cable. I don't have the proper shifter bracket, so I'll probably just bolt it on with the one I got right now, just so I can actually see if the transmission's good. And then I don't know what else. Not sure how these things are for bleeding. It's like the hose is pretty close to the top of the rad here, so hopefully that's not an issue. I was actually going to put water in it, but it's getting close to being like from where I'm going here to where I'm headed to. There's a couple of spots that it's potentially could freeze at night, and I just don't want to take a chance to wreck all of this for nothing. So I know like this time of year when you go through like northern New Mexico and places like that, there is a potential for frost. Not usually this early, but like I said, I just don't want to take a chance. So I don't have an enclosed trailer or anything like that, or maybe I wouldn't worry about it, but see how this goes here. So I got a new cap for that piece that I reminded myself to do. I went to get all the fittings that I needed, and then I forgot the plug that I ordered yesterday for the alternator. I hooked up to the factory jack just for curiosity, just kind of see. I know at the high RPM it probably wouldn't be accurate because it only goes to 7,000, so, and that's pretty close to where this thing will be shifting, so, but at least it's something for now. Like I said, I did buy a tack, so just a million things to do, and the only thing I don't have is a temperature gauge. It's here, but for some reason it won't screw into the fitting that's on the side of the head here, so I don't really know if there's like another place you could go. And I was looking at the parts store to see if I could find any adapters or anything, and there didn't seem to be anything so that we can make work. So just trying to figure that out. I definitely don't want to drive it too much without having a temperature, because like I said, the last time I drove it, it was starting to get a little bit warm. But I think that was all the other issues going on with the engine, because this radiator is like not even very old. So I know the fan sucks though, like it doesn't sit right against the radiator. There's probably like 6 inches between the radiator and the fan. This is just a factory style fan, but you wouldn't think it would make that much heat. Another thing I noticed is, like, remember I had said in one of the earlier videos that the engine seemed like it wasn't all the way back against the firewall? Well, I noticed there when I was putting the drive shaft in, I put the torque arm and the drive shaft on, and there's probably that much more sticking out because you could see where it normally rides. So engagement isn't anywhere near what it was, and that kind of concerns me a little bit. So I'm not sure what I could do about that really. So, all right, I'm gonna get this thing topped off and then put the transmission shifter cable on, and then I'll probably fire it and then just run it through the gears to make sure it's actually got enough fluid in it, because I'm pretty sure I don't think it has anywhere near enough, because the converter leaked a bunch out, and then it's got the deep pan and it never really leaked when we were tipping it. I don't know, like, I can't remember. We didn't really have it super up and down, but I don't want to put too much in it because then it does leak out, so don't want that problem. Pretty sure that's what was happening with the last one. So that's what I'm gonna do here, and then maybe we'll be able to fire it again. I should put the charger on it because the alternator's not running right now, so maybe I'll do that. Okay, so I was trying to adjust the fuel pressure, and I had it tightened all the way in, thinking that was the way to adjust it all the way down first, and then I was gonna adjust it out. Well, apparently out is actually down in pressure, and so it was actually gushing fuel out the bowls here. So I think it had enough. So I'm gonna go turn that all the way back now that I got that figured out. Okay, that was just inexperience on my part. I've never used one of those before. I would have thought that tightening it in would have closed up the chamber to tighten down, but I don't know how they work then, obviously. So we'll leave this on here. It's hard to do by myself. I really should be waiting for somebody, but nobody's home right now. So the gauge is up there. I put it right at the carb, but it's hard to see. But I mean, I just turned it on for a second when I ran up there, and it was like 25 pounds. So I think that might have been too much. So let's try this again. So I don't know if you saw that, you could see out of the booster there, it was just gushing fuel again. Not as bad as it was the first time, so I think I'm gonna have to turn it out some more. Try that and then try it again. Okay, so the fuel pressure regulator was leaking a little bit too. I can't see where it is coming from because again, I'm a dummy and I'm doing this by myself. So I'm just exhausted, honestly. I'm making mistakes and whatever, but I backed it out some more. I'll turn it back on and hopefully it's slow enough now. I'm sure there's a mess of other things probably gonna find right away here, but that's okay. Okay, so I got it set to like 5-ish, so I'm gonna tighten up the regulator there, and then I don't know, it's probably pretty close to being started again, so I'll have to check the transmission fluid and do all that game or whatever. So I think that's decent there anyways. I got the shifter cable on. I'm gonna have to fix that regulator because it's leaking at where the port is actually for the gauge. I put the gauge up here instead. So the port's leaking now. I should have done that. Now the fuel level's above it, so it's like trying to leak out of there, so I'll figure that out later. All right, I'm gonna try the first fire up of actually with everything being sort of connected here. I think I got everything pretty well out of the way here, cinched up. I got antifreeze in it. Oh, it looks like that's settled a little bit, so better top that off before I get going here. Oh. And I'll top off the antifreeze here. No point in starting it when it's low, so it must be just kind of bleeding itself. I could kind of hear it gurgling earlier, so I guess it just must have lots of air pockets in it or whatever. Hopefully not a problem. I've never had that issue in the past, but I've never had an LS either, so. And like I said, if you're wondering why I'm putting antifreeze, well, it's going to have antifreeze in it anyways. It's a street car. Once I got a bunch of this little stuff figured out, it's probably going to get driven quite a bit to these events around the area. We're starting to get back into the car season here, where there's a lot of like car shows, and not car shows, but like they do like burnout competitions and just like cruise events, and it's every weekend now until probably November. So now that the weather's cool enough that you don't need AC, this is perfect for cruising a car like this. So hopefully everything works good and I can actually drive it to some of that kind of stuff, because that's kind of my goal here. It's like what I'm hoping for anyways. So all right, try to fire her up here. See already, I caught myself. I forgot to move the transmission line, so whew, it was hot. It sounded like it was, I think I dumped so much fuel there, it was almost like hydrolocked, so whew, I was like, kept her wide open when I first started it there. All right, try this again. Almost looks like my back rear plug wire is actually hitting here. Oh, there we go. It is close, close, close. It's definitely touching. That's going to be an issue. Probably going to need to put an angled one on that one, I think. It's the only one that looks like it's got an issue here, so that's good, I guess. See if it actually melts or not. It's I don't know if I got something I can zip tie that to. Let me try that first. If I pull it away a little bit there, it might just be enough. Okay, here's the situation today. The garage is a total disaster. Really just need all the tools put away. It's probably not that bad. A lot of the parts are actually in the car now. So here's what I did last night. I fired it up and I kept trying to add transmission fluid. And man, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know, it probably doesn't look as small in the video, but this thing is tiny. Like, I mean, I bet you I can't even stick my pinky finger in there. Look at that. So anyways, that was a nightmare to get 2 quarts of oil into it. And then I started hearing it dripping and I thought, uh-oh, what's that about? So what I think was happening there was the pan gasket was leaking. I crawled underneath it. Well, it was pouring out pretty good. So I crawled underneath and snugged the pan bolts. It helped a little bit, but I've got a pan gasket for it over there. You see somewhere in this disaster of a mess. But the fuel line was leaking as well on the right where it threads into the tank there. So I ended up having to crack the line. I just put a funnel underneath it and drained it back into the jerry can. I had poured 5 gallons in it. I guess I should have only put a couple, but I wasn't sure how much it would need to get pumping. So I think I got the fuel pressure pretty well locked in there. Works better when it's not a geyser coming out the top of the carb there. So that's good. I think I put like 40 pounds to it by accident or something like that. So anyways, I think that's okay. I'll probably have to change the plugs after that one. I ran it through the gears last night. I think it's a manual valve body because you can just shift it and it just shifts. So, which is fine. That's cool. Kind of a little bit clunky going into reverse there, but rear brakes seem to work okay and everything like that. So I don't know. The only thing it doesn't have is a temperature sensor. And I'm trying to figure that out right now. I pulled this plug out the other day because it has a sensor, but this thread on this is like bigger, and I don't know. I went down to the store to try to buy a new one, and they didn't have anything really different than this. So now I'm realizing I put antifreeze in it. So now when I pull that, it's going to probably be leaking all over the place. So just another life situation here. So the pan has a drain plug on it, so I can probably pull that and see about that. I actually have fuel tape. I didn't think I would need it on those fittings in the back, but apparently I do. So I'm gonna grab the fuel tape there, put that on that, get that fixed up, and then I'm just like I said, I'm kind of scared to drive without a temperature gauge because I don't know how well everything cools here, but there is room for a fan on the front. I'm almost tempted just to put one on here, you know, while the front end's off. I mean, it's only 4 bolts because I'm not putting the side bolts in it right now. I probably won't right now anyway. So there's that whole thing. But yeah, I think other than that, I don't know. All the tires are pretty old. Like, I kept these tires in my garage forever. I don't know if they got a date code on them, but you can hear the brakes drag a little bit. Let's see if they got a date code. Forget how the dates codes work now, but they're for sure at least 10 years old. But they sat in my garage until just a couple of years ago. Well, more than a couple of years ago. 4107, so 2007. Look at them, they're not cracked or weathered or anything. The most they sat outside was when I sold it to the guy and he just parked it out in the grass. So anyways, I got a set of Mickey Thompsons for the back there for the track. They're also pretty old, but they're actually in decent shape too. They have tubes in them. Probably gonna put them on a set of Firebird wheels that I have. And then I need to probably get another set of tires for the burnout competition. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at here. So I just want to make sure it runs and drives good. And then we got to put the door seals back in and all that stuff. So I guess I'm going to try to drain the transmission fluid and figure that out. And then, yeah, we'll figure it out from there, I guess. All right, guys, so I pulled the transmission pan there. Almost looked like the gasket wasn't in part of it here. It was like stuck up in almost in the valve body or something. So this one actually has a drain plug. It's a pretty beefy pan, actually. It's a huge pan and everything on here. The drain plug had just a little bit of metal filings, very, very minor. And I'm just kind of looking at the oil here. It's got like a like a white tinge to it, which is kind of weird. Not sure what that's about, but that could just be condensation in it. But you know, there's no particles or anything like that. The oil was clear. Debating if I should reuse the oil that I drained out. It was only 2 quarts that I drained out at first, so I'm not sure. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna just clean it up and put a new gasket and should be good to go. Okay, you guys can see how it's got a deep pan, so it's got like kind of a deeper filter. I probably should have changed the filter while I was down here, but I don't know, everything looked decent and I don't even know where I'd find one right now, so that's gonna stay for now. I hope none of that stuff in the bottom of the pan went through the converter, but just looked like maybe a little bit of condensation almost or something like that, so should be good to go, I think. The rest of the oil looked clear, so all right, I'm going to try to clean this up and put the new gasket on. All right, I'll show you a little of my professional wiring updates here. So I bought a Flexolite, whatever this is called, trim line. It's a 16-inch. It actually fits just perfect in there. So I'm using this as a pusher, and then I still got the factory one as a puller, and actually you can really feel the air now, so I think that'll be a lot better. Okay, I just want to show you guys here so you don't have to have the same fight that I'm having here. So I ordered this adapter, showed you guys. It's a 3/8 MPT to M12 by 1.5 coolant sensor adapter. So I'm pretty sure that's the right threads there, but here's the sensor I have, and you can screw it in, but it doesn't tighten in because when you look in there, this should actually be way back here and it doesn't, so you basically can't get it to tighten up. So that's a problem. So I just ordered an electric gauge and a new adapter here because I think it's a different size here. I just wanted to make sure, because so I overnighted that for tomorrow, but I don't know, for today I'd like to get the hood back on, get this thing for a little rip again. Okay, I decided to put the bigger slicks on just to make sure they would fit and have good clearance and everything. This is just like, man, my nightmare, it never ends here. Something that should take 5 minutes, and like I'm screwing around with it for an hour already and I can't even get the first tire off. So I'll show you what the deal is, and this has always been like this. These nuts for some reason have this weird like cap over top of them to make them look like a full nut. So as I'm taking them off, the thing is sticking to them, but they're so tight. He put these tires on here. They're so tight on there. I literally got the impact on 3 and I couldn't impact them off. And I got to the last one and a socket won't fit over there. So I'm trying to get this outer piece off so I can get the socket to fit on this part, because I can't. There's no socket that'll go over top of that one. Just freaking holy cow, man. Stupid. All right, guys, I will show you where we're at here. I put the front nose on. I don't bolt it to the fenders because it's probably gonna be off again sooner than later. I just put the bolts in that actually bolted to the frame. I put that on there just because I've never actually had it on, but he put it on. I gave it to him. It was from a parts car I had, but I thought maybe it'll let a little extra cool air into the engine bay once I put the hood on it. Hopefully that fits. It actually might fit. I'm looking at it thinking like, maybe, probably not, but I snugged up the header bolts because it had already run. Got warm a little bit there, so topped up the antifreeze again. I don't have a temperature sensor, so I'm not going to go very far. I'll probably just go up and down the road here again. I put those Mickey Thompson ET Streets. These things look killer on this car. I love that like really filled wheel well look. So this is 28 10.5s. And this is like the old school style. I don't think they make these anymore as far as I know, but man, a buddy of mine had these in 26s, and I think every person I know pretty much ended up running those on their car. So man, they had to have had probably 100 burnouts or better on them and races. So, and he drove it around every day with them on there for a long time. So I remember I used them for a while, and yeah, so I think he actually still has them as a matter of fact. So those are good. It's going to make the gear ratio taller even, which isn't really, I don't know. It's not, they say it's not really the best, but I guess we'll see here. So still got the 10 bolts. Honestly, that's my biggest fear right now. Yeah, other than that, like I said, I guess I put the electric fan in there. So you can buy those 16-inch fans off Amazon for like $40. I got it for really cheap at the parts store there too. It was under $100, but it's a little bit cheaper on Amazon, but still super cheap. And then I just ran it in parallel with the factory fan there. So one's a puller and one's a pusher. This one doesn't have a shroud on it, so that's probably the reason it was getting warm. And it might have been burping itself a little bit there. So like I said, I'll take it for a rip up and down the block here, see how it feels when I get back, if it's hot or not. And yeah, other than that, I guess hopefully all is well. Tomorrow I'll get the temperature sensor and then I can actually drive it.
Look, you can roll your window up and down.
Well, there we go.
On that side, not this side.
Okay, so here's where we're at. Still got lots to do. My son brought me a thermostat, I believe. I don't know if he actually brought it. I asked him to. I didn't see him last night to ask him, but So we're gonna put the door seals and everything back on because we took it all apart when I was planning on painting it. My wife started putting the door seals back in here. Man, this actually looks really good. Hey, and it's tight. So it's really just the one door seal that actually keeps it tight, huh?
No, it's the window.
Until it's to the top, I
It's
suppose.
the window.
Ah,
It was
gotcha.
the outside window sweep that held the window in.
That's interesting because I thought both of them would have. Because the door panel on the inside has one too.
Yeah, but if you see those brackets are what push the window into that window sweep.
Huh.
So you have to loosen those brackets to put the window seal in.
So she's talking about this here. There's brackets that hold that. So if it's right to the top, it actually isn't floppy then? Where is it?
I might have tightened it too much. We can always loosen it.
Oh, well, honestly, we don't have to even put the interior door panels on if you don't want. I don't really care. I just didn't want this window flapping. That's what I thought they had to both be on for that reason.
Well, I don't mind putting them on, but you have to put the seal. You have to rivet the seals onto the driver's side.
We will have to put the corner piece, obviously, but
Well,
yeah.
You have to put the panels on it. Oh no, you don't have to.
Huh. So there's that. Yeah, thermostat. I'm probably gonna put I've got a gauge now. It should be in today if it showed up. I'm gonna put the new gauge in it so I can actually see what's going on. Hopefully that's finally the final thing here to figure out that gauge. What else we got going on? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's about as good as the wiring's gonna get for this car. Most of this wiring, to be honest, this isn't my basket case. Most of it's actually just factory wiring from the car because this was a 6-cylinder car, and it was fuel injected. So a lot of these wires can actually be cleaned up now and cut out of here, but I didn't have time to do that. So I tightened up the headers yesterday. I think it needs new spark plugs. I put the slicks on it and it was kind of boggy a little bit because I think I flooded it the other day when I was trying to figure out the fuel pressure. Other than that, we're gonna get working here. All right, guys, it is Sunday. I've been jamming on this thing for what feels like weeks. I don't know, it's like getting kind of worn down here a little bit, but anyways, I'll show you kind of what we got going on here today. I was talking yesterday, so I did pick up a thermostat for it. Not sure if it needs that. So after the last drive, I just checked the antifreeze again yesterday. I drove it a little bit farther the second time, and antifreeze was down at least probably 3/4 of a gallon anyway. So that might be good. Maybe it was just burping itself, I should say. I ordered off Amazon because I couldn't find the right adapter. So I ordered another gauge off Amazon for a temperature gauge. I ordered an electric one and with the sensor, thinking that I would probably end up just using that. And then I ordered a shorter adapter, which is this, and ends up being that the one that it came with this adapter, which is going to work with the one that's in the car right now, which is mechanical gauge, which is better in my opinion. So I'm probably just going to reuse that one and just use this coupler, and then I might send the adapter back. I'm not sure, but yeah, so that's it. It was super cheap anyways, probably like, I don't remember, 15 bucks for the gauge, I think, or something like that. So it probably would have cost me this much for the fitting. Parts stores are freaking expensive now. So anyways, I guess I'm going to work on that. Hopefully I don't lose a bunch of antifreeze because I'm trying not to get air in the system again, but not much I can do about it. Figured while it's low, this is the time to do it. And then hopefully I don't have to change the thermostat because that means I have to drain the whole system, and that sucks. So going to try to do this first, and then we'll see where we're at there. I threw my helmet in the car there, so don't forget that. Yeah, I don't know. I took it for the little rip there, and I gave her a little bit there. It's hard to tell because it's got taller tires on it now, and it felt kind of lazier almost, but I think it maybe needs some spark plugs because when I was setting up the carb there and was gushing out the bleeders, I think it like flooded, and maybe it kind of like took out a couple of plugs there. So they were kind of mix mash anyways, just so I could get it running. So we'll see about that. And then possibly I might try to put some sort of a better tune in this thing for the timing, because it's definitely, it could pick up more on the bottom. So we'll see if I got time to do that, but got up early so I can get working on this thing before it gets too hot. Okay, so that was pretty quick and painless. So that was the adapter that I got, same as the one I got the other day there, but shorter, which I don't know if that helped me or hurt me, but I don't think it'll get scorching hot because it's just coolant, so it shouldn't hurt that wire. You can see I put the adapter in there, and then it's just the mechanical gauge there, which is mounted under my dash here, so that should be better. And then yeah, I'm not sure. I guess I'll top it back up with antifreeze. I really wanted to put power steering on this thing. I tried to get the factory hoses actually fit on this, but when I started threading it in, this one side here, I forget which side it was, I guess it was that side, it was kind of had a kink to it. You can see it's got a bend in it a little bit, so it started kind of trying to cross thread and it buggered up the threads. So I don't know if I could just make one out of hydraulic line maybe. Not 100% sure. I know these ones have that kind of like little nose that goes into there, so I don't know if you need that or not, if that pushes something, or I really don't know. I don't think so, but so I was debating just making a short little hydraulic line and trying that. Okay, so more fails here. Took a little break and went for lunch with the family here and came back, and we tried to put the hood on and it's not even close. I would have to cut the entire area where the air cleaner is, which wouldn't be the biggest deal, but then it doesn't fit where the alternator is either. I mean, it would literally be cutting 3/4 of the hood out, so I don't really want to not have a hood on it, but I am kind of running out of time here, so I really haven't even driven the car to make sure it's okay yet. It's still, last time I drove it was still burping the coolant and kind of getting warm there. I just ran it for about 10 minutes, just idling here, and it got up to 190 and that was about it, so maybe it's fixed now. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to pull the thermostat and that won't be fun, because then it means I'm starting from scratch again with air in the system. So yeah, other than that, I want to just drive it again and see where it's at here. Yeah, the battery too, it's a little bit big for this car, so the factory hold down doesn't work the greatest, so that's another thing that might be an issue. I don't know what to do about that. I don't have an actual proper, really it should be like a big U-bolt over top of it, right, the factory style, but I don't think I have one of those kicking around, so I have to figure something out for that, but getting closer anyways, so hopefully this is almost the end of it here. Alright, first drive where we're actually driving this thing. We got the kids with us and everything. Seems to be sitting around 190. Super loud with that opening headers there. Like ringing the ears here. Got the door sealed in so it quiets it down a little bit, but it seems to be maintaining. That was my number one concern there. I added some more antifreeze to it. About 195, so right, guys, so you saw we just went for a rip there. We probably drove, I don't know, 10 miles or something like that. Never got warm. It got up till maybe 200 at the most. Probably I think we're mostly around 195 there. So obviously the fans are working. That's a success. I was really worried about that, but I think it was just air in the system. And so I'll check it once more once it cools down there. Yeah, I don't know. I put the tack in and it's kind of in a weird spot. I didn't really like it. I need to turn it almost actually, which I might do yet. I do have an air fuel ratio gauge coming in today at some point there. I don't know if I'll have time to install that before I go. Possibly tomorrow. I guess it's supposed to be cooler. I have to put an air conditioner in my camper because I'm probably going to get camping while I'm out there, I'm thinking. Not sure yet. I do have some work stuff to deal with tomorrow, but everything felt decent. I don't know, it didn't really, so, it sounds kind of bad, but it didn't really feel fast to me, but I know it's going to be super lazy on timing. They say the truck HO setting there basically adds about 4 to 5 degrees of timing at the top, and that's a premium fuel setting. So, but I think it comes in super lazy still, and I bet you it's probably maybe high 20s for the, all in timing there. Probably, I bet if I was guessing, it's probably 26, 28 degrees, something like that. And they say these LSs like about, I don't know, lots of guys are at 35, which I think that might be too much, but probably at 32 or something like that. It kind of seems like they're happy. So yeah, I was a thrash on this thing. Not happy that I can't put the hood on. I don't really have time to deal with getting another one unless I can find one on the route or something like that, but didn't really want to tow it the whole way there without the hood on it either, which kind of sucks, but not sure what else to do about that. But yeah, like I said, I put the aftermarket tack in it there. Everything else seems to be okay, so I'm really not sure what else I can do at this point for it, like short of really just putting a little bit of a tune-up in it here for the timing, and I'm just new to that. So I mean, I have an idea of how it should work, but most guys are saying they're starting off with almost no timing, and some guys are saying by 1,000 they've got 18 degrees in it already. So I don't know, I guess it depends how hard you want it to hit off the line and whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it didn't seem like crazy. It was shaking around a little bit there. We didn't go crazy. I gave it once there, and it was just coming back on our road there. We were just driving normally, and it was kind of wobbling around, but I think that might have just been the big tires catching in the ruts of the road there. But I mean, I got 28 pounds on the slicks, and I bet you I could go right from a dead stop and it wouldn't spin them even without heating them up. So yeah, I put a little bit of air in the front tires here. I did hook up that power steering pump, but it's not working. It felt like just at the last second at the very end when I pulled into the garage here, it was almost seemed like it was starting to kind of work there. No, maybe it just needs more fluid. So I'm gonna top that up just to see or whatever, but yeah, that would be nice if that actually worked. Yeah, other than that, that was a week, man. That's the most I've worked on this car in forever, but seems to run really good. Like I said, I mean, once I got a hood and everything on it and some exhaust, it's actually probably gonna be a pretty nice driver just for cruising around and stuff. So I don't got the 9-inch in it, which I don't like that. I didn't really want to drive that far to risk breaking a rear and whatever. Like I said, I'm solely doing this for my YouTube channel. This is the only reason I'm going to this event. I mean, obviously I would like to go, but this is like, for me taking that much time off of our work and things like that, and just the cost to go there and all that stuff, it's a big deal. And it's a pretty big investment of even the time that I've spent to come here and, work on this car as much as I have for the last, really a couple months here, but it's been a thrash the last few weeks anyways here. So yeah, hopefully it all pays off or whatever. I've got a couple little things I'm gonna do, just goofing around or whatever, but I guess we'll see how it all pans out. Like I said, I'm not super happy with not having a hood on it, but it is what it is. So thanks for watching again, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share me around on social media, Cruising with Kevin, to Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.